going to say Kong Smash, but that's not accurate to the movies. Hello, Huge Movie Fanatic Nate, coming at you to review the latest King Kong movie after, this movie came out after, what, 10, 11, that's 12 years, I think, after the last King Kong movie. Peter Jackson's King Kong brandished theaters and, was in theaters. This is the Peter Jackson King Kong. It's kind of cool. The batteries are dead, but if you press his chest, his mouth opens and he used to roar. But the batteries are dead. But this is the toy from the Peter Jackson Kong, and I think if you place his arms like this and you twist this thing on his back, he kind of goes like, but anyway, I'm coming at you to review the latest Kong movie, installment of the Kong whatever. I mean, it's really not a franchise, it's just whatever, by the name of Kong Skull Island. So when this trailer came out, whenever it came out, I was really surprised. I was like, oh wow, because I'm a King Kong fan. I mean, what the hell, I think the 1933 movie is just one of the most, even now, amazing, just all-time, like, special effects achievements. Definitely one of the first greatest special effects movies ever made, and I got a soft spot in my heart for the stupid 76 one, just for whatever reasons. I mean, John Barry did an amazing score for that movie, and looking at the young version of whatever the hell her name is, the blonde girl in that movie, and even watching the guy, I can't remember his name, you know, the guy who plays the dude from Big Lebowski, right? Jeff Bridges. Watching watching Jeff Bridges in the 76 Kong, and it's not Faye Dunaway, but the woman who's his love interest in that movie, really, in John Williams' score, is really what makes that movie passable for me. And of course, sometime I will review, or if Matt ever comes out of the woodwork, we can all review both review, like there's so many of us when me and him review, but we can both review the King Kong movies. But just since I seen this recently at a second run theater for not very much money, I figured since it's kind of still fresh on my mind, I'd talk about Kong Skull Island. So, oh yeah, I guess it should be noted that this movie is from the producers of me and Matt both regard the 2014 Godzilla movie to be absolutely just even worse than, I think he agreed with me, or we agreed on the fact that that movie was even worse than the 1998 Roland Emmerich Godzilla movie. So this is from the producers of that movie. I can say, in my opinion, starting off, that this movie is much more enjoyable than Godzilla 2014. There's considerably much more monster mayhem, so maybe they learned, hopefully, or for whatever reason, there's a lot more monster mayhem in this movie, so maybe they learned a lesson with Godzilla 2014. It has been noted in people saying online and stuff that this King Kong was so much bigger than Kong basically in any other incarnation, and that's, having watched it, it is true. And I think the reason they did that is because obviously the producers of the movie Godzilla making this, that someday if this movie, I don't know how well this movie did financially or not, but obviously probably the intent would be, if this movie did well enough, that there would be a King Kong versus Godzilla. So obviously Kong in this movie, in this universe, would have to be bigger than Kong has traditionally been. And he's like, probably, I don't know exactly, maybe twice as big as he normally is in this movie, or less than twice as big, I don't know. But he's bigger in this movie than I think he's ever been before, and like I say, probably because he might show up fighting Godzilla in the future, who knows. So I don't really, like how this movie started, where it was kind of like, was it World War II or whatever, and this American and Japanese guy land on the island, and their planes crash, and they land on foot, and they're still fighting, and it's just like, oh god. Basically, this sets up. I just thought that was dumb, to be honest. Basically, long story short, this young World War II American pilot ends up being John C. Reilly, or whatever the hell his name is, when they cut to the present day, which is not not 2017, it's actually the 70s or whatever. Was it 72 or something? That's one thing I actually liked about this movie, is it took place like in 72 or whenever it took place, and so you got an opportunity to use all these cool classic whatever late 60s early 70s songs and stuff, and just having a movie where people aren't like with cell phones, you know, glued to their ears was kind of refreshing to see. So I kind of dug the movie, although if they were going to try to tie in Kong, of course he can just live for decades, so I guess it doesn't matter. But if they're going to try to tie in Kong with the, you know, more contemporary Godzilla movie they made, I don't know how they're going to make that work. Maybe that's Son of Kong in that movie, but whatever. If that ever happens, we'll find out how they make it work. But I do like that this movie took place in whatever it did, early 70s or whatever. John Goodman's in this movie, Samuel L. Jackson. Basically, John Goodman and this other guy recruit Samuel L. Jackson and his like army unit or whatever the hell they are. As I've said before, anytime you see military in a movie, I mean, even to be honest, even if it's an anti-war movie, which you don't really see anymore, of course, even you know, just seeing military at all is, in my opinion, just propaganda for military, because you know how you had that saying of there's no such thing as bad publicity. Well, it's kind of like that. That's why I you know, hold the notion that even if you have an anti-war movie, it's still keeping soldiers and the idea of war in people's minds and stuff like that. So that's another topic, but again, this is just a military movie with all these kind of whatever, just mindless military grunts. And one thing I just hate about this movie is just so much, just make a movie where you got characters that you actually like or and halfway interesting. These characters are just the same thing over and over in all these movies. And granted, yeah, it's kind of like a spectacle, you know, bigger budget, you know, whatever, quote-unquote blockbuster movie or whatever, but I mean, that doesn't matter. It's still, you can still have characters that are kind of interesting, but whatever, you don't. John Goodman and this scientist guy recruit, I guess there's some legend of Kong on this island, and without them telling anyone about it, they get this Samuel L. Jackson, whose character is just like annoying, like, you can retire right now. I'm kind of done with Samuel L. Jackson, like same with Groot, you know. I'm probably even more done with Samuel L. Jackson than I am with Groot. Probably about even. So Samuel L. Jackson and all these whatever soldiers go to this island, and what I kind of like about it, the first action scene with Kong, and the, you know, with the exception of the beginning, which is kind of a tease of Kong, is the way that they're just flying or whatever, and they're dropping all these bombs, they're trying to, seismic charges or whatever, which are basically bombs. And what's really cool, and I heard someone in the theater be like, what the, you know, I don't think he swore, but it's like, what? Like, when they're just flying along in all these choppers, and they got all these choppers and all these people and all these choppers doing the seismic bombing and all this kind of stuff. And all of a sudden this huge tree just smashes into a chopper and it goes down, and the guy in the audience is like, what? And he's not really realizing that, you know, it was thrown by a huge beast. Like, it's just like, what's a tree doing in the sky? But I thought that was a cool kind of intro to Kong in his first like action sequence, that we don't see him throw it, or we don't, all we see is this tree impacting a helicopter, which was really cool. And then you have this kind of, you know, bigger than expected action scene with Kong for his first appearance, just taking out, and I love this part, yeah, taking out all these choppers and military guys and just squashing them, and one guy is like, and he goes into his mouth, and at the end of I think the end of the action scene, and then they cut to some guy munching on a sandwich, which was funny, and someone in the audience is like, ugh. There was like a woman with a guy in front of me, and like during that kind of stuff, she'd, you know, squinch, or, is that a word? Be all squeamish and kind of tuck herself into the guy. Anyway. So long story short, I guess this movie was more or less kind of what I expected, which would be just more or less kind of a 2-star out of 4-star, just, you know, whatever. I was expecting it to be better than Godzilla 2014, because, I mean, that takes a lot of effort to make a movie that horrible. So I was expecting it to be better, which in my opinion, I do regard Kong Skull Island, as I already said, as being better than Godzilla 2014. I'm not too sure I like the version of their version of Skull Island. I guess it doesn't really matter. Having not seen Kong in any version for like 12 years at this point, it's just like, I don't know. I mean, whatever. I mean, one thing I do like about the movie is all of the like outdoor or whatever. It's not so much tropical. It's just like island, just the green foliage and stuff like that. You know, you guys, if you've been watching my videos, you know I like just outdoors and just warm climate and green leaves, vegetation, all this kind of stuff. So this movie does have a lot of that, and I like that in that regard. Um, one thing that happens, let me just, a plot point that basically goes throughout the entire movie, which was just kind of annoying, but whatever, is basically in that first scene where Kong is attacking all these choppers. A lot of these people die or whatever, and obviously it makes Samuel L. Jackson so mad. I killed my men and all this shit. And so basically this movie's kind of splits off, where it's kind of like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, where some of the characters, they're like split up or whatever. I don't know why they're split up, but they are. So some of these people are with them, and then a lot of, like Samuel L. Jackson's with basically just whatever surviving soldiers he's got. And his vendetta for basically the rest of the movie is he wants to kill Kong, like he's going to be able to do that. I mean, this thing is so huge, but whatever. So that's his vendetta for the whole movie. And then you got, I can't remember what, I guess the other group of people probably just want to get off the island. So there's none of that bullshit of like wanting to capture Kong and bring him to the city crap. That's the thing I found refreshing about this movie is, having been remade twice and having 3 movies where it's basically the same thing, where you have characters wanting to, 33, 76, and 06, having characters wanting to, or one character or whatever, wanting to, drug them and take them back to the city, and, seeing those 3 movies and knowing what's going to happen in the 76 and 06 version, or is it 05? It's 05. Peter Jackson movie's 05. It's kind of refreshing to actually go into a Kong movie where you didn't know what the hell was going to happen or the outcome, and that's another thing. They had a blonde girl who I think I talked about in the trailer, my trailer review of this movie, whenever the hell I did that, which is the girl from Trainwreck, the movie, the Judd Apatow movie, and that's the only movie I think I've seen her in, and gosh, they either gave her like some super push-up bra in this movie, or padded bra, or I don't think she would have had work done. She doesn't seem like someone that had breast augmentation done, but whatever. They really kind of tried to, I think, make her look a lot more busty in this movie than she really is. But that's just a side note. I noticed these things, but that's just a side note. But one thing I was kind of worried about, her being blonde, of course, and I think there was like an Asian girl with them as well. Being blonde and a woman and stuff, I was like, oh god, I was just waiting for the inevitable like Kong fall in love scene. And what I liked about this movie is they didn't do that. There was a moment at the end of the movie where Kong like saves her from drowning, but he's just like takes her out of the water and just like that's it. And it wasn't none of that. I don't think he blow dries her like 76 Kong. And that woman, I can't remember her name for the life of me in the 76 movie, is like, oh, like that breath that smells any good. Like Kong drying her, oh man, that scene's so nasty. That's just funny. Oh gosh, I'm just having flashbacks of Kong. I keep wanting to say Faye Dunaway. It's not her. It's Jessica Lange from 1976 being blow dried by Kong's mouth, by Kong blowing on her. But anyway, that was one thing that I thought was cool, that they didn't do the Kong, kidnap. Once he came across this blonde, and he took her for himself and like threw her on his back. I mean, none of that bullshit. It was just a part where he saved her at the end. So a lot of it was refreshing. This movie was refreshing in the sense that a lot of the Kong shit we've seen over and over 3 times now, with him kidnapping a blonde and shit and all this kind of other stuff, and them trying to kidnap him, was not done in this movie. So it was kind of cool, obviously, because whether they were going to pair him with versus Godzilla in the future, or just do another Kong movie. I expected that they weren't going to kill him in the movie, which was another thing that was refreshing, seeing 3 King Kong movies and them killing him at the end of each one, regarding the 33, 76, and then 05 movies. It was cool actually seeing another change that was cool, is actually having Kong not die in this movie and whatever. I didn't really, being so used to the 05 version and seeing him versus T-Rexes and stuff, I kind of didn't really like those new aliens. And then I was driving home, or the new monsters that he fights, the ones that are kind of like got 2 arms and then just basically a tail for limbs. I was like, those generic kind of stupid, Skull Island creatures is just kind of like dumb. I kind of liked the T-Rexes and stuff. And then it occurred to me, well, in the original 33 Kong, there's basically a smaller version of a creature like that crawls up the vine and is trying to eat our hero. I can't remember what his name is, but the guy that saves Anne. So actually, whether they knew it or not, probably did, and intentionally, they were actually embellishing on a Skull Island creature from the original 1933 movie. So realizing that, like on the way home, was kind of like, oh, okay. Well, they didn't just make their own generic stupid, or maybe they didn't. They didn't know that. Maybe it was an accident, and they happened to make something that looked exactly like that from the original movie. But I don't think so. Knowing that they took a monster that was briefly shown in the original 33 Kong and embellished it and made it kind of the head bad guy. In this movie you got all its offspring, which are smaller versions, and then of course towards the end of the movie Kong fights the whatever, if you want to call it, the parent or the grown version or whatever that hides under the earth or whatever. I mean, that was kind of cool. I still don't really like that creature, but I'll let it pass because it's kind of a new version of the creature from the original movie. So at the end of the day, I don't know, I kind of found this movie, I don't know, it was a little bit hard to get through or whatever, I don't know. Oh, the stars is difficult. I mean, it's teetering between 1 3/4 stars and 2 stars. Pretty much mostly the only good thing about this movie is just the monster mayhem. There's this cool scene where Kong is kind of harkens back to King Kong versus Godzilla. I don't know if it was intentional or not, where he comes across this huge octopus in a big, lake or body of water, and he wants to basically kind of pull it out of the water to eat it or whatever. So for a while there, the octopus kind of gets all over him, and there's a little bit of a struggle between him and this giant octopus, which of course is well, I'm sure it would have had to have been an intentional nod to the original King Kong versus Godzilla. But stars is difficult. I think, yeah. I mean, I think we'll just. Yeah, I think because the characters are just so miserably like annoying, and a lot of Samuel L. Jackson's character I don't like, and just John C. Reilly, I mean, if he's in a movie for me, it's really not necessarily a good thing. I mean, I don't know. I think we're going to basically go 1 3/4 stars out of 4 stars for Kong Skull Island. It didn't do a hell of a lot for me, and having said that, yes, I probably will. It's so funny how I, review after review, it's like, this movie didn't really do anything for me, I'm definitely going to buy it. But assuming there's like a 3D version of this comes out or whatever, I mean, sometime down the road I will end up owning this movie, whether it's, used months later or new on day 1 or week 1 or whatever, I don't know. We'll see what versions come out and what the cost of the versions are. I mean, does Kong being bigger bug me? No, I don't really care. Just seeing him back again was kind of cool. Which Kong do I like best between the 05 and this version? I mean, each of them have their own attributes and whatever, drawbacks and stuff. I mean, whatever. So, I mean, Kong's Kong. I'm really not gonna be too nitpicky about it. So. Feel free to let me know what you think of this movie if you saw it, or if you have any questions about this movie, feel free to ask them, or just whatever. So thank you very much for watching this review, and as always, we'll catch you next time.